Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today I'm going to be showing you 3 amazing Unchained combos that you need to know to play this deck. This deck has been topping a lot recently, and it's an extremely consistent deck that has some insane combos, from ending on a Griffin lock to being able to establish a crazy amount of interruptions against the opponent. This deck has it all. So without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. Again, your name, description, every single video, getting a signed card to the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your patron. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So for our first combo, guys, we're going to start off with just Tour Guide from the Underworld in our hand, which is absolutely insane, the feel that you're going to get off of just this one normal summon in your hand, being the best normal summon in the entire deck. So what we're going to do is normal summon out our copy of Tour Guide to our side of the field, which is going to let us special summon a level 3 Fiend monster from our deck, but negate its effects, which is totally fine because it's not going to stick around for long, because we're actually going to summon out Fiendish Rhino Warrior, and we want its in-grave effect, not its on-field effect. So what we're going to do is immediately link these two cards away, and once we do, we're going to special summon out a copy of Unchained Soul of Yama. Now we're going to go Chainlink 1 Yama, Chainlink 2 Fiendish Rhino Warrior, so that we can chain block the Yama to make sure that we're going to get that search, which is really important. So the Fiendish Rhino Warrior is going to go off and send a copy of Shavara to the graveyard, which is actually going to go off in a separate chain to be able to set an Unchained trap. So now we're going to go ahead and use the effect of Yama to be able to add our copy of Aruha to hand, which is amazing because now in this new chain, the copy of Shavara is going to set up so we can actually summon out our copy of Yama to our side of the field. So we're going to set a copy of Escape of the Unchained to our side of the field, and once we do, we can use the effect of our Aruha in our hand to be able to target the copy of our Escape to be able to pop it on our side of the field to special summon itself out to the field, which is really good to instantly get our copy of Aruha, because now all of your Unchained spells and traps actually get float into other monsters when they're popped, which is insane to be able to do just to get more monsters on your side of the field and get more consistency with the deck. I think that's one of the reasons why this deck is so consistent, is because you can pop your spells and traps to be able to just continue your plays. So we're going to go ahead and use the effect of Escape to be able to special summon out a copy of Sorima. Now this is basically bread and butter combo of the deck. To be able to get to this point in your combo, you can go to a bunch of different ways from this point. I feel like the DDD Unchained Soul of Rage is a little bit better than the Griffin because it deals with so many fields and so many different interactions with your opponent, but the Griffin lock is really good if you know your opponent doesn't usually have an answer. It's really good to basically have a one-sided skill drain, but going from there, this is basically where you want to get to with your field, that you can go either for that Griffin lock or you can go for Unchained Soul of Rage, plus a copy of Wave King Caesar, which is just insane. But let's go ahead and show you how to get to Rage and your copy of Wave King Caesar. So what you're going to do at this point is use the effect of your Sorima to be able to set your copy of Escape back to your side of the field, and once you do, it's going to pop a card on your side of the field, which is going to be your copy of Aruha, which is then going to float into another card, which is going to be your copy of Shayama. Shayama is really good to be able to make in this position because now you can go ahead and link your copy of your Yama and Shayama together to be able to make a copy of Rage. An easy way to remember that is the blue dog for blue dog is really easy to remember, but at this point now you have your copy of Rage on your side of the field. The reason we wanted to use specifically the copy of Shayama for this is because it has a graveyard ability to be able to pop a card on your side of the field to special summon itself back, and we have not used our copy of Sorima on our side of the field as a float yet. So we're going to go ahead and use the effect of Shayama in the graveyard to bring back our copy of our Shayama to pop the Sorima on the field, and once we do that, the copy of Sorima will go off, special summoning from our deck a copy of Shavara. Now once we get the copy of Shavara, I see 2 level 6s on my side of the field, so I see a DDD rank 6. So we're going to go ahead and overlay both of these on our side of the field to make a copy of DDD Wave High King Caesar. Now this field doesn't look like a lot, but it really is. You have multiple interactions with your opponent, you have multiple graveyard interactions with your opponent, and this field is just absolutely insane, the amount of plays that you can actually pull off with this particular field. So what we're going to do at this particular point is we're just going to pass over to the opponent and let them go ahead and do whatever they want to do. We can link away our copy of Soul of Rage to go in for something like an SP Little Knight or a Unicorn if you have something else in your hand. You have your copy of Wave King Caesar that's able to have a double negation, which is just really good, with a spell or trap card or monster effect that activates and includes a special summon a monster, which is really good. And if this card does get popped, it adds a copy of a Dark Contract card from your deck to your hand if it leaves the field, which is just really good. Plus, you have the copy of Escape. Now let's go ahead and start off and say that we use the copy of Escape to pop an opponent's monster. But what do we pop on our side of the field? Well, this specifically has to target an Unchained monster that you control and one card on the field and destroy both. So what you're going to do against your opponent is, let's say that they start playing, and this is during their turn. We've already established our board. Your infield is going to look just like this. So what we're going to do is activate the copy of Escape, pop our copy of Rage, and once you pop the copy of Rage is going to go off and let us add to our hand a copy of one of our cards in the graveyard. So this card has a really cool ability. If this card is destroyed by battle of a card effect, you can target a fiend monster in your graveyard, accept Rage, and add it to your hand. But we also have the copy of Yama that we can chain to it since one of our cards was destroyed. So we can go ahead and banish our copy of Yama, going Chainlink 1 Rage, Chainlink 2 Yama, banish the copy of Yama to be able to special summon out from our graveyard our copy of Rage, which is really good to be able to get this card on the field. And then we have the effect of Rage when it touched the graveyard to be able to add our copy of Shavara back to our hand, giving us more follow-up. Now, once we have that field established, we have basically just popped a card for free while also getting Shavara back into hand. We have the Wave King High Caesar now, that if we do negate something, we're going to get the effect of Shavara to be able to touch the graveyard. And since it did go to the graveyard, we'll be able to set another Unchained trap, setting the other Unchained trap, the Abominable Chamber, to our side of the field, which is a monster reborn during our turn. Because it was set during our opponent's turn, we're not going to be able to activate it, but that's totally fine because we do have the Shavara in the hand. So let's just say, for example, that we do decide that we want to pop the copy of Wave King Caesar. We use both of its negates, and our opponent is still not done yet. And we're going to go ahead and use the effect of Shavara to be able to pop our copy of Wave King Caesar. And once you do that, the copy of the Wave King Caesar will go off and add for follow-up play your copy of the Dark Contract with the Gate, which during your turn you can activate and then grab a copy of your Divisor King Requiem, which then you can go ahead and activate that, bump it up, pop this, and then once you do, you can make a copy of the Divisor King Machina X, which is insane to be able to do, that you basically just step into this, and this is what field you can establish, that you had so many different interactions. You had a double negate with your copy of the DDD, you had the link away with the copy of the Rage, you had a pop with your copy of Escape, you have the Abominable Chamber that you can activate as a Monster Reborn, you have the copy in the graveyard where you can make another copy if you wanted to, of the Wave King, because you can pop this if you don't want to activate it, and bring back the copy of Shyama to overlay again to make another copy of Wave King Caesar, because I do play two in my build, which you guys would like, check out the deck profile. It's down in the description down below. But you can establish this crazy field by basically just establishing all of this, which is so easy to do. Plus, if you use the copy of Shyama, you'll get to special summon an additional monster to the field, which is just going to get you your OTK, which is insane. And on top of that, this was all from a tour guide. So you're basically going to have 4 other cards in your hand, which can be more hand traps to hit against your opponent. You can have more Unchained names in your hand. You can have all sorts of stuff in your hand to just establish an insane board. But what you'll usually end with this particular field is going to look basically like this on the field, to be able to interact that many times against your opponent, which is just so cool. And I love that about this deck, that you have so many interactions against your opponent by basically just establishing this field right here with that particular combo, which is just so neat. And cards like Yama in the graveyard to interact even further. So for this combo, guys, I'm going to teach you how to Griffin lock your opponent using Tour Guide plus a copy of any card that you have in your deck. This is an Ash Blossom that I'm using as a blank card, but it can be a hand trap, it can be another Unchained card, it can be a tech card that you're playing in the deck. It doesn't matter. It just has to be any card in your hand, because you need a card to discard for a card effect in this combo. So this is not even even important what this card is, so we're actually going to slide it to the side to be able to use it later. So what we're going to do for this combo is going to be very similar to the first combo, but a little bit different with the cards that we're actually going to put on our side of the field for the trap cards. So what we're going to do is go ahead and normal summon out the copy of Tour Guide to be able to special summon out our copy of Fiendish Rhino Warrior. We're then going to link these cards away to summon out to our side of the field a copy of Yama. We're actually going to go Chain Link 1 to Yama, Chain Link 2 Fiendish Rhino Warrior to be able to send from our deck to the graveyard a copy of Shavara, and we're going to use the effect of Yama to be able to add a copy of Ruha. Now the copy of Shavara will actually go off to be able to set to our side of the field Abominable Chamber, and this is what I was talking about to begin with, is to be able to set the copy of Abominable Chamber instead of Escape. Now the reason I do this for Griffin locking is because I feel like this is a little bit more important to put on your side of the field for follow-up play instead of popping a card on your side of the field. This is going to help you bring back one of your monsters, especially with how we're about to link climb with this particular combo. So what we're going to do now is this card is going to set to our side of the field. We're then going to use the copy of Aruha to pop it on our side of the field to summon out that copy of Aruha. Then the Abominable Chamber will go off to summon out the copy of the Sorma. Sorma will then be able to set your copy of Abominable Chamber back to your side of the field and pop the copy of Aruha, basically like the first combo did. And then we're going to use the effect of Aruha in the graveyard to summon out a copy of Shayama. So now that we have Shayama on our side of the field, we're going to go ahead and link away our copy of Yama and Shayama on our side of the field to summon out our copy of Rage. Now we can use the Shayama in the graveyard to pop the Sorma on the field to bring out your copy of Shayama from the graveyard. That's such a cool effect that it can bring itself back in the grave by popping a card just to extend your plays. You never want to see this card in your opening hand, but man, is this card a good combo piece. Then the copy of the Sorma is going to go off to be able to summon out a copy of the Shavara from the deck. And at this point, this looks very similar to what we did before. Because you have that copy of Rage, you can make the DDD right here if you want to. And as you guys can see, this is right here where it gets a little bit different, is where you're going to start making those really awesome plays to either go for that copy of DDD plus Rage, or go for Griffin and your copy of Mudracker. So now we're going to go ahead and link both of these away to summon out that copy of the Mudracker to your side of the field. And once we summon out that card to our side of the field, we can use its effect to actually target in the graveyard our copy of Yama. Then we have to discard a card from our hand, which is going to be our one blank card that we had in our hand. It doesn't matter if it's Ash or not. It can be any card in your hand. It can be an Upstart Goblin if you play it. We then are going to special summon out the copy of the Yama to our side of the field. Now we're going to Griffin lock. So what we're going to do is go ahead and link both of these away to summon out our copy of Nightmare Griffin. So this is very important to be able to do at this point because you have a copy of a Nightmare Griffin that's not pointing to any zone, so your opponent's not going to get any effects. This is not pointing to anything, and this is basically a one-sided skill drain because this card actually has a really cool ability that if this card is link summoned, you can discard a card and then target a spell or trap card in your graveyard and set it to your side of the field, but it cannot be activated this turn. Then, if this card was co-linked, when this card effect is activated, you get to draw a card. But the really amazing ability about this card is special summon monsters on the field cannot activate their effects unless they are linked. These are both linked. Your opponent's monsters will not be linked because they don't have a link zone or they don't have a link arrow pointing towards them, so they're not linked. Now, at this point, we can, during the opponent's turn, flip up our copy of Abominable Chamber, and this is why I like this card a lot more than Escape in this combo, because we can bring back our copy of Rage, and then we can go for a bunch of different plays. We can go for SP Little Knight at this point. We can go for a copy of our Nightmare Unicorn if we have an additional card in our hand to be able to discard to the graveyard to spin something. But this is basically just going to give us a way to link away a special summon monster that your opponent might leave on the field, while also having the copy of Mudracker and the copy of Griffin on the field. Now keep in mind this is going to be during the opponent's turn that you're going to activate that Abominable Chamber, but it's going to bring back your copy of Rage, which will be linked because it's pointing towards it, and you have the copy of Rage that can basically link away an opponent's monster if you want to, which then will go to the graveyard and basically just deal with your opponent's field, getting rid of whatever they put on the field so you can go in for game on the follow-up turn. So for our last combo, guys, I'm going to show you a 2-card combo that's going to get you an absolutely insane field, which is going to be a copy of Shavara plus any Unchained spell or trap, which is absolutely crazy because you have so many targets to be able to use with this particular combo. It's literally insane. You have cards like Wailing, Abomination's Prison, Escape, and even Chamber that you can use with this particular position. And you play Shavara in the deck like a 6 of, which is crazy because you have your copy of Abomination's Prison plus this card, your Shavara, which turns it basically into a 6 of because you have Rhoda at 3 basically in this deck with the copies of Prison. So what we're going to do with this particular combo is we're going to go ahead and set our copy of Escape to our side of the field, then use the Shavara in the hand to pop it to be able to summon the Shavara to our side of the field. The copy of Escape is going to go off to special summon out a copy of Urkea, which I feel like is the safest one to summon for this combo because it is a 1 of in the deck. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and link our 2 monsters away to summon out our copy of Yama. We're then going to go Chainlink 1 Yama, Chainlink 2 Shavara to be able to actually set a copy of a different Unchained trap to our side of the field, which is going to be Abominable Chamber. So we have multiple copies live of different cards. Then our copy of Yama is going to resolve, adding a copy of Aruha, basically the same thing we did in the first combo. Use the copy of Aruha to be able to pop our copy of our Abominable Chamber. Special summon it to your side of the field. Abominable Chamber will go off and summon out our copy of Sorma. You see where we're going with this? It's kind of the same thing we've done before, but it's still going to get you these really insane plays. Our copy of our Sorma is going to go off to be able to set our copy of either our copy of Escape or Abominable Chamber. It's totally up to you if you want to get that Monster Reborn or the pop, because you can kind of go for a Griffin lock or your other play with DDD Rage. Totally up to you depending on how many cards you have in your hand that you're willing to discard. It's totally up to you. I'm going to go ahead and set the copy of Abominable Chamber to my side of the field. And at this point, what we're going to go ahead and do is pop the copy of Aruha because the Sorma says if you set a card, you have to pop a card. So we're going to pop the copy of Aruha. Then we're going to go ahead and special summon out our copy of Shayama, linking Shayama and Yama away to summon out a copy of Rage. Now we can use the copy of the Shayama in the graveyard to pop Sorma, to summon out the copy of Shayama to our side of the field, then special summon our copy of Shavara. Now at this point, this is where you decide what you want to do. If you want to go in for the DDD, you just overlay these two like this, and you make your copy of the Wave King Caesar, or you can go in for that copy of the Mudracker and the copy of Griffin if you want to go that route as well. If you have an additional card in your hand, you just basically link these two away and go this route instead, where you basically link these two away, summon out your copy of the Mudracker onto your side of the field, discard a card, bring back your copy of Yama, link these two away, and make your copy of Griffin instead, where it's going to look a lot more like this. But it's totally up to you which way you want to go. I usually like to play it a little safer and go this particular route where I can actually summon out the copy of the Wave King and the copy of the Rage, because I just feel like this is a little bit more impactful against most players. Plus you have the copy of the Abominable Chamber set to your side of the field, so if you do decide to link away with the copy of Rage, you can just bring it back later, or even bring back another card later. If you go for this particular play as well, you can set the copy of Escape if you have an Escape live, which you can usually have an Escape live, so you can do what we did in the first combo as well, or you can use it as a Monster Reborn, either or, whichever one you decide that you want to go for in that particular combo, getting you this insane field to basically just deal with your opponent's board. And you guys saw all that follow-up that you could do with this particular field in the first combo, which is just absolutely insane. And again, these are kind of interchangeable in that combo, which is really, really cool. So that's going to do for this one, guys. I hope you did enjoy this video and learn something about Unchained. This deck is absolutely crazy with how consistent it is, and it's super fun to be able to play once you learn the combo lines of this deck. Being able to summon out Griffin to your side of the field to lock your opponent down, or even the DDD XZ to be able to basically just stop your opponent from special summoning is absolutely crazy. This deck has a lot of combo lines, but I feel like those are the most important ones that you need to know to be able to play this deck. So that's going to do for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. And if you guys would like to check out the deck profile, as always, it is down in the description down below. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. We'll see you in the next video. See you later, guys.